With the NFL trade deadline rapidly approaching, the Denver Broncos make some brilliant moves, and I don't think they are done. In this video, we're going to break down the moves they made, why they are so smart for George Payton, Sean Payton, and this Broncos team, and what other moves might happen over the next 24 hours. If you're new to this channel, I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan named Ben, and it helps me and the algorithm out a ton. If you like the Broncos as well, if you would smash that like and subscribe button as hard as Jonathon Cooper just smashed his extension. That is right. For the third time this season, the Denver Broncos have gone out and rewarded a player who they drafted. And it ultimately is showing that this is a meritocracy. It does not matter where you were drafted. How long as Broncos fans did we see Jerry Jeudy getting first team reps or getting targets when he didn't deserve it, just because the Broncos wanted to prove that they hit on a first round draft pick? And the Denver Broncos have gone out this offseason and gotten Quinn Meinerz, gave him the bag because he deserves it, because he balls out of control. And they did the same for a dude that they were able to scoop up in the 7th round because of some cardiac heart situations. He dropped down to us, which is why he ended up being a Denver Bronco. So incredible move here to get Jonathon Cooper. A couple reasons why this is such a great move. He is on pace to eclipse that 10 sack mark for those first several games of this season. He was in the backfield every single time. You talk about a guy with a relentless motor who is not only a leader on the field, he's a leader off the field, has an incredible story of how he ended up falling in the draft, and what he loves about the Denver Broncos is on full display every single game. He brings the attitude. You saw how fired up he was yesterday in the locker room after the loss, and I just think this was fantastic. You see some of his teammates coming out and saying stuff like Nik Bonnitto came out and said, "Nobody deserves this more than you." And you just see so many other players look at this like, hey, man, it doesn't matter if I was a first-round draft pick or I fell off that turnip truck. If I ball out of control and I do the right things, I'm going to get paid. And I think that sets an incredible tone for this. The other reason this is such a great deal for the Broncos is that this makes him the 22nd highest paid edge rusher in the NFL. He definitely took a hometown discount to get this signing and get it done now. And this deal was done before the game against the Baltimore Ravens, and yet you still see that motor on display yesterday. We weren't able to get home to the quarterback. That's a whole separate discussion for another video, why I think yesterday's game was a complete anomaly. But you saw how fired up and upset he was yesterday after that loss, and I love that this deal was done, and he still is coming with all that intensity, and you just hear so many players today rave about him as a guy and what that means for the Denver Broncos to get him. One of the reasons why they were able to make this move was this other move. And Zach Allen came out and just talked about what a great message this is for the locker room to now have Meinerz, PS2, and Cooper all re-signed in one offseason. It shows that we don't need to go out and get guys out there. We're going to draft well. We're going to hit on our picks, and then we're going to honor the people who work hard, and we're going to re-sign them to long-term deals, which is fantastic. And then here we're saying, if you look at the market right now for edge rushers, he is outperforming so many out there. He's definitely better than the 22nd edge rusher in the league. And, he could have gone out and gotten $18 million per year. And if he'd waited till the end of it, who knows, he could have even gotten more if the salary cap continues to go up each year, which I expect that it will. So I think taking a hometown discount, the message it sends in the locker room, absolutely phenomenal. So the reason they were able to do that was in part because they moved on from another edge rusher, and that is Baron Browning. Nobody was a bigger fan of number 5 than I was. I saw tremendous upside in him from his rookie year when Justin Simmons said Baron Browning was reminded him of Von Miller. The same bend. He had all of the athletic talent and all of the moves on display, yet he always was hurt, even this year being on short-term IR. And even now being back in the mix, you look at our platoon of outside edge rushers with Jonah Ellis coming on and playing phenomenal. Even that play that he got beat on that wheel route, you heard Tony Romo talk about what a great job defending the wheel route that really was by Ellis. You look at Nik Bonnitto breaking Von Miller or tying Von Miller's sack streak, and then you look at Cooper. You really don't have enough pass rush plays to even get all of these guys on, especially because a guy so many people are hyped about is Drew Sanders, who allegedly had an incredible, OTAs and all that kind of stuff before he tore his Achilles, and has worked really hard, has filled out up top and just is working on the side fields. And Sean Payton is still very high on him. And then we're able to go out and get Dondre Tillman and a lot of others. And so I think this is another great move for the Denver Broncos because we're able to pick up a 6th-round draft pick for a guy who would have walked, and we wouldn't have been able to afford him and Cooper. And so I think we made the right bet here, getting the guy who means the most to the locker room, who tries the hardest, who has been the most consistent, and it's not just a one-time thing. Cooper was doing this going back to the end of last season, and so I feel really excited that the Broncos signed him. I'm excited that they picked up an additional 6th round. There are people in Broncos country, I don't know if it's just wishful thinking or coincidental thinking or whatever, but they're saying, hey, we now have number 5 freed up and an additional draft pick. And so who's another number 5 out there who folks have rumored is T. Higgins, the wide receiver, a tremendous talent from the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow just threw 5 touchdown passes without him in the lineup. So could the Broncos use this additional piece of draft ammunition that they have? Now the number 5 is wide open. We could go out and get T. Higgins. He's going to cost a lot more than that 6th-round draft pick we got for Baron Browning. But the number 5, the jersey number, is open if T. Higgins wants it. So I think a great little haul there. Rewarded our player. We moved on. Another reason this happened, moving on from Baron Browning, is that we need a roster spot for Quan Alexander. If you take a look at who were the highest graded Broncos from our loss to the to the Baltimore Ravens, it was Quan Alexander. He balled out of control in there. Vance Joseph said he was going to. He was not worried about the loss of Singleton and thought that once Quan Alexander understood this playbook and had it all opened up to him, that he would be running downhill, and he certainly was. And sitting where he is right now on the practice squad, any other team could go out and just snatch him for nothing if they signed him to the 53. So moving on from Baron Browning, that's a wide open roster spot. I expect Quan Alexander to be signed to the Denver Broncos active roster, which we don't usually hear about until Wednesday. So I think that is also great there. So you're looking here, the total deal for the extension for Cooper, that he's getting $33 million in guaranteed, but $60 million over 4 years, which averages out to $15 million a year, where he could get a lot more than that on the open market. So when it comes to why I'm still so high on this Denver Broncos team after yesterday, I really think we ran into a buzzsaw who was fed up after a loss to the Cleveland Browns, and they wanted to prove to the world that they were legit. And I think that game was closer than it appeared. That, I talked about yesterday that the Broncos were down 17-10, and the next time Bo Nix got the ball, it was 31-10, and the game was over. I think we saw massive steps forward for Bo Nix. I thought we saw some of the inventive playbook by Sean Payton, and I do expect us to be a much better team than that, and I think we're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday. And to that end, when asked about this, Zach Allen came out and said the very same thing. He just said that on the plane ride home, dudes were not getting discouraged. They were not like, woe is me, we're out of this already. They already were excited to get back to work, and they already were watching film and taking accountability. And then he even likened it to the fact that, where was that tweet? Yeah, he basically just said that at the end of, after we lost that game to Pittsburgh, people were talking about how the sky was falling, and now just a few weeks later, we're already talking about this team as a playoff team, and he made that comparison that, like, the sky isn't falling after this game. This isn't going to be like Detroit last year where we lost and our season unraveled and we lost again to the New England Patriots. This team believes in itself. It's seen that the organization honors when you have players who play out of control and play above their contract. And so I think you see the Denver Broncos go 2 games in a row against the Kansas City Chiefs, and that will be fantastic. Other trades that I think might happen is there's talk out there that we also will be putting Greg Dulcich on the trade block and would be willing to listen to offers for him. If you're in the market for a overhyped tight end who's hurt all the time, send us your best offer and we'll listen to it. And I think that with the Dak Prescott hamstring injury, knowing that we have 2 very serviceable backup quarterbacks in Jarrett Stidham and Zach Wilson, with Jordan Love also being hampered at the end of that Detroit game, might the Cowboys or the Green Bay Packers send us a deal for one of our backup quarterbacks? And could we lump all of that ammunition together to please go get some help for Bo Nix? I think that is something that if we want to be a playoff team And if we want to make some noise in the playoffs, it can't just be Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton. There's got to be more to the picture to it than that. So let me know, what was your favorite part of today? Was it picking up some trade capital for a guy who was our fourth string edge rusher in Baron Browning? Was it the hometown discount taken by Jonathon Cooper? Was it the hope of maybe getting more trade capital to make a splash for A.T. Higgins or somebody like that? And let me know, are you still on this Broncos bandwagon? Are you still believing that we're going to make the playoffs? Because I think we will. That's something we all should believe in.